closer to putting the job out to bid, that percentage reduces and eventually goes to zero. But that is our way to, that's our way to go into agree with MSBA and have contingency to cover us, so that when we keep going with design, if we, I guess that's the right word.
You're doing really well. You keep it up. You're right on the right track.
As
It's coming
we
right
go-
out of my mouth almost.
Right,
Yeah.
almost. As we start to define the scope of work, we get better drawings, more detail, that contingency goes down to zero. But that's there for us to use, so if, right now, because we're going in with schematic draw, we're going in with an agreement with the MSBA with schematic design. And at the end of the day, we're gonna negotiate a GMP off 100% construction documents. And that's what that contingency is there for, is for those changes in design, and maybe it's changes in scope as we go along.
As design evolves, right, estimators see more. When they see more, they price it. And so, the idea is, 10% covers us from where we are today to when we go and give, the final documents to them. And so everything will be included. Design and pricing contingency would go to zero, as Andrea mentioned. Can I give just a little pitch here, or a little discussion on change orders, right?
Yeah, because I was just gonna go into the
Right.
potential.
I always like to do this at the beginning of a job. And that's for all intents and purposes, that's where we are today. Chris and I were talking, and, for the last, however, 6 to 8 months, we've been doing what I consider, the hardest part of the job, right? Getting it to a point where, we've actually gone and developed it so we have a good sense of what it is you want. We have a good sense of what the price should be. And now, you've hired us to go and do our job, which is to go and make that happen, to implement, that vision in that cost, right? And then we're going to turn it over to these guys, and then they're going to go and build it, and we're going to watch that and monitor that through the whole process. So change orders, okay, in this type of project, in any type of construction project, are an inevitability. They will happen. We, your designer, will make mistakes. We'll make errors. We will have omissions. It's just the way it is, because we're not perfect. Because we're taking and, basically completely retooling almost 90,000 square feet of building on a piece of paper, or on lots of different pieces of paper. So it will happen. Be prepared for that over the next 2.5 years, that we're going to have, discussions, and you guys are going to go and say, how is that possible that you missed that? And, we're not happy about it, but it's reality. It happens. And so that's why we have contingencies on the job. And so I'm just, I kind of sensitize people to that, because it's going to happen. The good news is that the MSBA, up to a certain point, reimburses for those, because they understand that inevitability and they understand the construction process. And typically, the range of that kind of industry standard is somewhere around, 3 to 5%. Typically, we're under that. We run around 1%, which is good. But it's going to happen. We're going to run into things that are not designer issues, that are either latent conditions that are embedded in this building somewhere, and we get to it, we find it, it's unforeseen, and we've got to go and fix it. And those will be change orders, because that's beyond the scope that the builder ultimately contemplated when we put it together. So all of those things, okay, are why we have those contingencies. And so just remember it, this speech, okay, because when we come back to it, I've done this enough now that people are going to go and say, why are we having a change order again? And we'll go through the same speech again, or the same, discussion again. But it's important that everybody understands that, nobody wants them. And we do our best to go and mitigate those and work, with the contractor to go and take care of those. And it's a construction job, and there's, pluses and minuses, and we work out a lot of that, okay, behind the scenes, so you don't even have to understand it or see it or hear it. But some of it will rise to the surface. So, does anybody have any questions about that? Super.
I'd like to make a few comments.
You guys
about
do.
Yeah.
Do it, just
Yeah. No, I mean, it's the way it is,
Just
and
finish the job and we
and
will weigh what Do you know what our percentage was at West Parish? I mean, we were way under on that.
Less than 1%.
Yeah,
You know,
so-
we just closed, I was just at a meeting with Chris, we just closed that job out. We are less than 1% overall on the project. And, you know, we gave gave back $1.7 million, right, on a roughly $30 million construction job.
Less than 1% for designer.
No,
Changes.
total, I think.
Total.
Yeah, it was a
New construction, though?
new construction.
Yeah, so who knows what we're gonna find when we start peeling this
Like
baby
Brad said,
apart,
it was
so,
our percentages.
Yeah.
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 As long as you leave the principal's office
Yep.
inside the school.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, we're gonna do the best job we
We need
can,
bathrooms,
but that
Brad.
stuff happens. And we would be remiss if we didn't have the discussion up front.
Right. Yeah,
But
we have
you
to.
also have, you know, another set of eyes looking at them too.
Right.
You have picking company looking at the change orders and vetting them out before they come to you for quotes.
Yeah.
That was my pitch to answer the several questions that came up.
Right.
The difference between our water treatment plant and the Pine Grove
Well, we work
renovation.
for the town and we work for the MSBA.
Absolutely.
Your best interest, so.
Yep.
I like Larry's answer to the difference between the Salisbury Library and this project.
That was good.
Yeah.
Bookstore, bathroom.
Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you.
That was awesome.
Okay, so I'll end with a summary that the Raleigh share will not be set in stone until about 3 years from now, until we close the project out and we do the final audit. So, but every month we will report to you where we think we stand, hopefully every month or every quarter, because the MSBA doesn't approve change orders, but on a quarterly basis. So we will report back every month on where we stand budget-wise.
Does that slow the project down if they only approve stuff
No, actually,
quarterly?
it doesn't really, no, not really.
Just for change orders.
Just for change orders.
Okay.
ProPay, and you can submit monthly to
Right.
get reimbursement.
It actually works out.
Okay.
But in between, just to emphasize, there is the project funding agreement, right? So that
Yes.
will, this is provisional. Andrea, Larry have been working with MSBA, but we'll finalize this form, and then they'll sit the district down with their lawyer and explain what maximum means in the maximum facilities grant. And then we get on and start designing, as Brad said, and then later get on to the actual construction and change order review.
That number, incidentally, will never change,
Never go higher.
never go higher.
Yes.
Right, once you sign up for that deal, it does not go up. It can go down, but it cannot go up. It will not go up. And they'll make that clear in that little sit-down too. Mhm.
Andrea, I had a question. It actually had come up looking at this with the top part where it's not the Raleigh share but the other section there. It says third-party funding ineligible, and there's just been some conversations that were happening about if potentially, say, the theater, we can't go with the theater package or whatever. People were saying that maybe they'd write a grant to like Institution for Savings or something, just as an example. Does that mean that type of thing? Like you can't have third-party funding to fund pieces of the project that we figure we can't fit into the budget that way?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
Wait till it's
In
done.
the sake of
Yeah, I was
parity
just gonna
among
say
all the
wait till it's
districts
done.
across the state,
Okay.
they don't want some districts to benefit maybe from more resources. So they would reduce, this comes up in terms of utility incentives. We don't have that here because you have a local municipal power authority. But other districts which have National Grid or they get an incentive from the electric company, gas company, and that also can be reduced from the grant
Can I
amount.
ask a question? How did the other schools then get like the Institution for Savings to pay for their gym floor? So it's like are they not MSBA project or are they just?
I'm not sure about which project that would be, Nicole, but I can say two things. It would have to be outside of this project, and that those projects might have been without the MSBA. But the
Well,
MSBA
the new elementary
project-
school in Newburyport has a nice big,
Oh, does
Institution
it?
for Savings, yeah.
Oh,
They
that
have a whole
sign.
room with
Yeah.
Yeah, they might have sponsored that sign.
I think it all happens after the project closes.
Yeah, it might have
so
been after it's
So the
Yeah.
money changes hands after the
Okay.
project
Yeah.
is done.
And then they put in the floor.
Then you put the name on, or even the floor could have been in as part of the project, and it's reimbursed from the bank. But We just don't want it to happen in the confines of whatever, the next 2.5 years until we close the books with the MSBA and they say, everything is blessed, then.
Right, an
Is
example.
there a time
Okay.
limit for that?
No, I
Could
think
I go
literally,
off any-
it's
I mean-
written off and signed off, and
They're
then
done.
it's back to us.
Then
Yeah.
An
other
exam-
improvements could be done.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
An example that we talked about at a previous meeting was getting the electronic marquee.
Mhm.
So we would run the conduit as part of the
Exactly.
project, but then after we close the books out, we will hit the Institution for Savings, or our friend up in Salisbury.
We got people.
We know people that might be able to do that electronic marquee sign.
What about if the town supports the project, like through the Community Preservation Fund, for like the playground?
It's not a CPC item.
It's not, I don't think it qualifies on the
I don't think it would
CPC.
qualify.
No,
CPA.
it doesn't.
The stuff is super old, the equipment.
The Historical Society.
So,
You want a town crier instead of a sign?
I mean, that's a literal answer to what that line item is. If you do have opportunities, certainly discuss them with us. It usually takes a long time to actualize any sort of opportunity, so we can work, and we'll be happy to work with you.
Should we even pursue those opportunities during the project, or is that just a really wait until it's done?
I-
Because there's
They
stuff that won't
take
be
that-
done.
They will reduce our grant by that.
Right.
Their
To-
portion, yeah. So you
Right,
don't want to do any
To
of that.
execute that, but I think if you do have an opportunity, like Chris was mentioning with the sign,
Right.
you know, we
Right.
could plan around that.
Right.
In fact, we would need to. We wouldn't want to
Right.
buy
Because you
a
need to plan.
resurfaced gym floor if you've got a grant to redo the whole gym floor. You just
Right.
spent good money after bad.
Okay.
And I think groups, institutions are willing to kind of say, okay, that will happen in our
Yeah.
2019 funding year.
Yeah.
Right.
So they kind of get it on there, they're very happy to pace ahead, those with larger amounts of money to
Yeah.
give. So I would say, let's plan now, have the discussions now.
Right.
And then, you know, I think the marquee is the perfect example. All of the conduit, everything is prepped, and then it's ready to go.
Right.
Pull wire and we
But
install.
we do want to target it
Right.
outside of the project.
Yeah.
Yes.
That we would just.
But I
would
think we
commit
need to plan
that.
for it so that we don't do things that'll need to be undone or
Exactly.
redone,
Well, it should
or,
probably be done by people not on the committee, is that
yeah, that's what it sounds like.
outside of the committee?
I don't think it really matters.
I don't think it matters. I mean, I don't
We've
think.
had past projects where PTA or, you know, they decide they want to do something within the construction site, and usually they wait until we're done.
Yeah.
And they come in and they do it. I mean,
Right.
but people that have been on the boards that I've been on have been involved in it. And there's typically a PTA rep that's on the.
No, I think PTA could absolutely be active. I think anyone within the school, that would be normally part of the business and
Right.
having
Just like
discussions,
some
and Chris.
outside businesses.
Yeah,
for-
yeah.
okay.
Well, I think it also comes back with prevailing wage and all the bidding and everything. If it's a donation and the money's coming and being paid for directly, it's a lot cleaner. If it becomes part of this project, it has to be bid, it has to pay prevailing, and so it changes the scope immensely, or the cost, I should say, immensely. So, plan now, be ready to roll.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the timeline, which we don't have attached. Just a mistake?
You mean the phasing, like the?
No, the big timeline,
No.
so you can see where we are, where we're going.
We're okay.
We're pulling it up, we're working on it. On the book. Do we wanna just go into a little, do we wanna talk about cash flow?
We're gonna
Oh, take a
approve
vote.
the submission of
All right.
BSC.
Yep.
I assume everybody's read every page and that we're ready to move to submit.
We're gonna go based on
Yes.
Narissa's
She
Do we think
she
the
did a
rest of-
memorandum
Yeah,
I'd
of
say,
synopsis.
any other concerns?
I literally fell asleep 4 times one night trying to just get through the last 35 pages.
Should have been a sign.
Couldn't quite make it. No, I did make it though.
It was
Before I knelt
I
down.
did go through, I didn't read each individual page, but I did go through the whole book.
You just sold
Would
reading
you
at
like to
Poofs
make
in
a
the
motion?
library. I
Sure,
love
I
Poofs.
make the motion to.
Poofs?
Poofs.
What's the official
It's-
motion?
it's
To
accepted.
approve the
Schematic design
submission.
and submit it.
Yeah, schematic design submission.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the SD submission. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is the 3011 being submitted also?
Yes.
Yes.
That's,
Is
it was
that-
not in the binder,
It will be in
But
the
it will
final
be in the
version, and
we
it
just
was
went over it.
submitted
Just the same
electronically.
Is
Before-
it part of the
as-
SD
It's
submission?
part of the SD submission on the 18th.
So we need a motion to approve the submission of the 3011 eligible and ineligible costs.
Is that a separate? Isn't that part of the?
It's part.
It's part of the SD?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
so
We're all
vote
set.
separately you can, but it is
What are we
part
gonna
of
do
this.
with this?
I gotta put it up there, unfortunately.
Can you email it to him?
I could.
To whom?
I
just looked
I see his
up.
laptop.
What am I gonna do with it?
He can't connect
Who
it
has
either
the
with
laptop?
Well, what are we just trying to accomplish where we are with schedule?
I have a beautiful graph on cash flow, Brad. I have a
Okay.
beautiful.
Can you
Erica,
email it to us and
Pull it
computer
up
on
on
our
our
phones?
I was gonna say,
Yes,
Erica
I could do
have
that.
My
I could do
Chromebook
that.
that
I
has.
said my Chromebook.
I have my
I
iPad
worked
at
You
work.
worked very hard on it.
No, but I can pull it up on, I can just log onto the computer
That's
as
true.
me. I
That's
have very
true,
big
yeah.
font.
Any of us can do that.
There you go. We got an answer for you.
I can log on under my account on the computer, just email it over.
Woo, fancy.
There you go.
Turn it on.
Man, we don't need new technology, we're fine.
With technology.
A little punchy today.
Uh,
Okay. Cupcakes? Cupcakes, Chris?
They were
Ryan,
excellent, by the way.
cupcake?
No,
I'll
push them
have
down that side
another
of the
one.
table now.
Good. Grab one now, Dennis, or you're out of luck.
No, it's okay.
No? I'm gonna be hurt.
They are very good, by the way.
Yeah, well,
I'm
suburban
telling you,
housewife.
I had one and they're excellent.
Suburban
I'm gonna have
housewife, it's
another.
my job, right? Larry, come on. Come on.
Excellent.
Yeah, you did
There you
bring
go,
the, you
yeah.
did bring the green
I
napkins.
make my own frosting. Yeah, well, that was for you.
Yeah, I
Actually, those
appreciate
are left
that.
over from the Girl Scout thing last year,
appreciate
so
that.
they were the first one I found.
Michigan
Stayed.
State.
You gotta get, you know, it's,
I'll go get my purple napkins, Larry. You don't want
Oh.
to go there, bud.
that's okay. No, no, no,
Mhm.
no, no.
You want to start trash talking now?
No, we'll save it for later.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till the fall.
And who went further in the NCAA basketball tournament? Let's discuss.
You went to Northwestern, right? Where'd
Yes.
you go?
Michigan State.
Oh.
They're a bunch of beer swilling thugs.
Yes,
true.
we are.
Okay.
Duly noted.
Problem is you guys wear it with pride.
When
Yeah,
you, When you
exactly.
get on a train in Chicago before a Northwestern Michigan State game at 9 o'clock in the morning, every single person there is wearing a Michigan State shirt, and they're all drunk.
And
And
they're
it's
all
9
lit.
o'clock in the
It's like
morning.
that, right.
And this is
Absolutely.
like people like my parents' age. I'm like,
It takes a long time.
it's amazing. I don't know how they do it.
Twice too, it will shut it right off, so.
Oh.
If you hit
Oh, I
it
hear
twice.
you.
Doesn't make you a bad person, Larry.
It sounds like
Nope.
it's going.
I
Wear it
can
with
hear
pride.
But
Used to
that
be the
was-
It's
number
not a
two
lot to
party school
do in
in the
East
country.
Lansing.
Oh.
Is it number 2?
Used to be.
Who's number 1 now?
I forget who's
I
number
thought,
one.
I thought Wisconsin was like number 1 forever. Those guys are crazy.
Madtown.
Because I don't see a light on the bottom.
Beautiful
Usually you
place.
see a light.
It is.
I'll never go back to Madison for a game.
I got threatened at
Absolutely.
Wisconsin. They
Absolutely.
were going to this random frat boy basically threatened to hang me over the side of the Camp Randall by my ankles if I didn't shut up.
So it was shutting.
Yeah.
So now that will.
And I'm not exactly a rabble rouser because I've learned my lesson.
All right, it went.
Went to a game at Iowa and
The red light came
we
on.
got my dad got tickets for us through the bank in town. He used to have coffee with the guys there, and
Well, to shut it
no
off,
free
you can
tickets
hit
right
it
on
twice,
50.
usually.
The banks had them forever.
So I press it again.
Monday
There
after
we
the
go.
game, the nice people who had the other 2 tickets called the bank and
Yeah.
said they shouldn't be allowed to give their tickets to people from the opposing team.
Those Hawkeyes.
Oh, those, yeah.
Sign come in handy.
Yeah.
Only fiscal year.
My father's like, exactly what were you doing in the stands? Like they lost the game soundly. They had one good play. I cheered.
You were just cheering.
Jeez.
As an engineer, you go to Camp Randall and you start stomping, the whole stadium moves.
It's not good. It's not good.
Brad jumps
It's
down
not
to
good.
TV.
That thing's gonna fall down someday. Like soon.
Oh, okay. They duplicated mice, but not duplicated crystal.
It was funky.
So this is the colored graph that and everything.
Ooh and
It's
ah.
pretty.
This is oohing and awing, right, Andrea?
That was our.
Let me give it its due from this side.
It's very pretty. So,
Larry, I take one of those cupcakes.
Don't hit the blue thing, it's probably expensive.
Now, Google and Microsoft are gonna fight.
okay, so,
I mean, everything here is Google Docs, right?
I know.
Is that a district standard?
Yeah, we do have Microsoft Office as well.
Oh, okay.
Some
More
of
and
us still
more.
use Microsoft.
Yeah, no, I still use Microsoft, you can't not, but Excel. and
Okay,
everything.
there it is. The pretty timeline.
Wow,
Into the chart.
this
Ah.
one's worth
That's
wait.
not, that's not the one. Wait till
Oh.
you get to
Wow,
the next
this could be
slide.
better.
That's one, just a
Okay.
No, you can pause for 1 second. So see the little, it says today,
Do you need to read off of this?
top of the, top left.
It doesn't say we're celebrating?
No, we should.
Yeah,
We
we're the
probably
cupcakes.
should have put, yeah, see, next time.
balloon
put
or
a little
something?
couple of emojis in there, or balloons or something. We have now entered into our DD development phase for Dora and Whittier, starting 5/9 through mid-September. So we're gonna submit the schematic design to MSBA by the 18th. That gives the MSBA time to review from the 18th through 6/28, which is the board meeting, the MSBA board meeting, where they'll approve the schematic. Thank you. How do you do that? Right there. And then we have a little bit of an overlap where we start our 60% CDs. And then we get to submit the 60% CDs to the MSBA for approval.
What does CD stand for?
Construction documents.
Okay.
Plans and specs. And then we have a 90% CD, and then of course the 100%. But in between here, we're submitting to the MSBA for approval. Looking for their approval. I think it takes they always end up with 6 weeks time period to do their review. And then we have some reconciliations within that time period. We have one here at DD, and we have another one at CD. So along the way, we have some more checks and balances between the two estimators.
On that 28th of June, is that a meeting that should be attended? We said.
It certainly can be
Yeah, we
attended.
get-
It's a
yeah,
public
we-
meeting.
We typically
I was
get
planning on
invited.
going.
Yeah. So we should, the three
Road
of
trip.
us or the four of us that we did last time.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be about 5 to 10 minutes for Pine Grove, because they'll be approving a lot of projects. But they'll do a brief summary. That's part of the reason for the introduction in this, is to give them
Something to read.
Something to read out. It uses their slides. Yes. So that's where we are, okay? Mm-hmm. See, we've got a lot to do. A lot to do. I'm excited though. What am I doing?
You want me to go to the next slide?
Oh, yes,
I think
please.
This
Yes,
one.
please.
Oh, it
This
does.
one.
So Andrea, I'll hand you this then, so you can,
What the hell happened? That doesn't look like that in the.
oh, you know
That's
what?
It doesn't convert
Microsoft,
well.
Google.
Like to
It's the-
slide.
Oh, that
Oh.
Google versus Microsoft.
Oh, Microsoft.
I
Did
know,
you have
I'm
it
the
in-
same way.
Did you have it in PowerPoint?
You can
It looks
mostly understand
beautiful.
it.
It was
We'll open it in PowerPoint.
Yeah,
It's on the
well,
sheet.
it just, it was.
It's feeding. Look how pretty that is. And now
That does
looks-
look really good.
I'm so-
Set a time so we can see it.
No, we
I
should
am
be
a
able to
gra-
do it.
I am a graph girl, that's what it is, I think.
All right.
So the cash flow is gonna show where we're spending the money, and just to inform the town that we are starting the clock to spend money associated with the design development.
Yeah, maybe I'll just talk about the 3 phases,
We
when we
should,
get
yeah.
that set up. So schematic design is what we've completed, and that is very schematic. There's only 34 sheets for our drawings. And
Is
there's
it
a-
too early to start showing those to people?
There we go.
These drawings can be.
Okay, can I get like just a few of them to post up on the Facebook page with a, hey, here's what it, preliminary stuff?
I think so.
Appropriate, or is that too soon?
They're public
Okay.
record.
Yeah,
Okay.
give them the link.
People get excited by drawings, so I think we'll.
Well, I don't know. If you looked at a roof plan, it's.
Not that one, but the library, the classroom, the,
Yeah, you know what would
Those are
probably
more
be good
fun.
for something like that is not to have
Have you got
technical
this?
drawings, but to have like
Correct.
room data sheets or something
Yeah.
like that.
Well, pictures, but yeah.
Yeah,
Room
or-
data
or-
sheets are
That's
kinda.
what they are. They're pictures.
We have some pictures in the binder. There might be
Yes.
some material from the binder that's a little
Yeah.
more user-friendly.
Yeah.
Because as we go on, the documents become even less user-friendly.
Okay.
We add more and more technical notes. We have to break them up by trade and delineate which trade is doing what. In
Okay.
fact, that.
I will see then if I can extract some pages from
Yeah.
this, post out there
I
as
can
kind of a
give you the
dribble of
individual images if
information.
you want, like, if you-
Yeah, let me see if I can extract it. I downloaded the whole book.
Right.
Let me see if I can extract it. And if I can, I'll let you know.
But, so we overall did the scope, but we have a lot of work to do, engineering and design-wise. Design development, we're gonna really dive into that, all the systems, select our basis of designs. We're gonna come back to this committee or maybe a subcommittee and review basic approaches to furniture and finishes. And so that's what design development is to really get into the details and establish what products and what ways we're using it. And then construction documents is to do all the detailing. So if in design development, we've chosen a window type from, say, Conier's basis of design, and in construction documents, we do the 50 to 60 drawings related to how the window meets the wall and the ceiling and everything else. So the number of drawings in construction documents explodes. 500 to 1,000 sheets between all the trades. So it takes longer, there's a lot more effort into it, and it is about really getting all the details. Should also say at that time we'll be doing pre-qualification of major subcontractors, including the trade contractors or filed subbidders. That's another advantage of the CM process, is that we'll do that pre-qualification with WT Rich. So we will, there are, I think, 13 trade,
Yeah, I think
trade
we-
contractors
Yeah, I think
that are established by mass procurement law.
There's more than that, but I think we don't have them all.
Right. But we, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, ceilings, resilient flooring, ceramic tiles, plaster, elevators.
Paint.
Paint, how could I forget paint, fire protection, miscellaneous metals, but not structure, not foundations, concrete. So we'll go through that. That'll be, again, we'll end up establishing a subcommittee of this committee to do that review, because all those trades will have to submit their own binders and qualifications.
Will that include speccing out the equipment, let's say for the heating plant, the fire pumps, breaker panels?
So we'll have our engineers specifically about that, Chris, meet with you. So we'll go through, we should be doing that, the general speccing, like what type of boilers are we using, and any manufacturers we find not acceptable or preferred. We should discuss that in design development. So again, so that in construction documents, we can plan for all the wiring, power, and water necessary to make those, say, boilers work.
We're also gonna have a discussion with you about potential proprietary type items. So if district-wide, for example, one that comes up often is district-wide, you may have a certain brand of controls that you use, as far as your DDC goes. And so you may be wanting to integrate this school into what you have on a district-wide basis, just in terms of, compatibility. And so, those are the types of discussions, and if we determine somewhere that there does have to be proprietary, we'll actually advocate away from that if we can, because as soon as you go and do that, you potentially run the risk of higher costs. But we'll have that discussion, so if there's something that truly needs to be proprietary for a reason, we have to write a letter, to that end, so that we can include that, because, typically in mass procurement, it's a 3 or equal or an implied 3 or equal law, as you know. And so, for example, if we were doing, air handling units or something like that, we would go and say, maybe it's your AAF or, whomever. And then, we would list the basis of design as being, say, it's a York unit. But we may not get that. We might get a different unit. And this is where those types of changes will come in, because the contractor can choose any one of those, but you have to design for one. And so sometimes, the ductwork and the integration of one unit is going to be different from another, and you have to make that change because the subcontractor has a right to put in that different unit, and, you know, the rest of it downstream may change. And that's one of those types of things where you're gonna have a potential change order, and you can't control it. And, you know, those types of things are gonna happen.
So I'll be included in the.
Oh, yeah.
DD.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Your construction timeline is still to start in June of 18?
Yes,
Correct.
Yes.
the document, you know, putting all the documents together and.
That's planned,
That's
that's
the
with-
same timeline.
planning on doing some purchasing of some equipment, so when June comes, we can actually start in the building,
Right.
not wait to, you know, buy equipment.
When does it go out to bid? Fall?
No, they'll be earlier.
I think we said
January,
February of next
February.
year.
February.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, did we talk about for some of those early packages, we'd
packages.
probably get something in December, right?
Yeah.
That's the timeline, I think.
So they could be staged on site prior to June.
No, we'll just have them queued up and ready to come to the site when we're ready for them to be here in
That's what I
June.
was
So
gonna
they'll
say.
be stored off-site if they're ready to come. I mean, that's
Right,
typically how
you're
we
thinking
do
about
it.
long lead items,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
switch gear or transformer.
So there's no
Yeah.
pre-construction prep prior to June?
I know early on there was a discussion, maybe in April vacation, maybe doing some floor
Some
remediation.
selective
Okay.
some selective demo.
Come in,
Yep.
remove some stuff, you know, be all clean and air tested by the time you guys come back into school.
Yep.
Help us to get a jump on the work in the summer.
So that's not factored into this,
Yeah, it is. Yep.
In the construction.
but I don't see anything in construction until February of 18.
That's when we're going out to bid in the fall, well, November, December areas when they're gonna be releasing equipment, so the first rec will come in around February. I mean, yeah, February. We'll clean up the format so that you get the right, and we'll give you an cumulative total, so you know where we are. So, that was that discussion of the phase authorization letter, the continuation of design.
Yeah,
Which I
so,
know we're having lawyers
so-
that's-
So typically, it's required between phases that we're gonna go and give you a letter that says, we're moving out of schematic design and into design development, and you'll say yes, if you want us to do that, which is effectively what you're doing tonight, we'll actually issue a letter for record. And then what we have to work through is the kind of the contractual mechanism to make that happen, because you won't have your, well, from a cash flow, but Karen, like what you were saying is, you know, we look like we're good. We still have to have kind of the contractual mechanic behind that in order to make that happen, right? So we have to do that with your lawyer.
That's not my area.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but it will be your area as soon as we submit an invoice, and if we don't have that, then the good cash flow thing turns to bad news, right? So, what we were talking about here today in our office was, to try and see if we could request a meeting, you know, or a conference call with your council, to be able to go and, you know, kind of set the table for him, so that he understands, you know, what we're trying to accomplish. And then rather than us trying and putting a document together, because we're gonna be more flexible probably than he would be, just because we're not lawyers and he is, is to go and let him do a draft of whatever that is. And then we can sit down, have a meeting and talk about that, because we need to get that into place ASAP.
And we're working under MSBA standard contract, and so we can provide that. And there's also a standard amendment. So MSBA envisions the sequence to be submission of SD approval by the board, and then a contract amendment to start DD. We're trying to, in order to advance the schedule, we're kind of trying to compress that.
But I don't think that we can just go and amend the contract that you have in place.
Exactly.
Because that's tied to MSBA approval and everything, and we have to go and get ahead of that in order to continue to make schedule. So I think what we can do is we can use that contract as some type of kind of, you know, reference point, and then we have a separate, you know, kind of side, you know, kind of agreement, you know, that is in place place until the other agreement, the kind of the prime agreement catches up to it. And then once you've signed with your PFA, then we'll amend the contract, which will supersede this other agreement that we're talking about right now. But, you know, that's more legal that we need to get into here, but that's what we need to have, that contractual mechanism so that it doesn't get tied up when Karen has to go and actually pay invoices, because somebody's gonna go and say, where's the contract to go and pay this? And we don't have that currently. Right, and we wouldn't, it's because we're reversed. You know, normally we would have the other approval and you would be signing your PFA right now, but now we have to wait until July, and then you've gotta go in through your PFA negotiation and all of that, so, you know, realistically, you're not gonna be in that position until sometime in, you know, August, maybe in September. And that would leave May, June, July, August, you know, potentially 5 months of schedule that we would not, you know, be doing anything. Which is, you know, I like summer vacation, but you need us to do that so that we can make that schedule right there so that these guys can build, because all of the cost implications and the escalation assumptions are already embedded in that number, right, that's in the 3011 that we talked about, so we can't deviate from schedule without there being something back.
So maybe I could call you, because it sounds like we're gonna need some side letter,
I think it's
an extension of something that you're doing now that meets some MSBA standard, so we can
I
get
think it's gonna be your attorney standard, and so that's why.
It's not, that doesn't have to
I don't
go to
think it has an
MSBA?
MSBA is only gonna care about the, kind of that prime agreement, and they're not gonna care about that until their board's voted and they're gonna go do their PFA.
Okay, so the MSBA doesn't have to do that?
I don't think so.
Well, all right, this is the
It's a
first
bridge
area.
agreement between
Yeah.
Right.
the town and
Yep.
the designer.
Okay, so
and
maybe
the
I
designer.
can give you a call and I'll set that up.
Yeah, that would be good.
Can you go back to the schedule?
Mhm.
Oh.
No, the other one.
Oh, yeah, I'm a little slow.
Too many buttons.
So where exactly when does the feasibility study end on that timeline?
Today, essentially.
Well, no, before he says that. It's
But not
true
for us,
and
yeah.
not true for, it's not true for us, because feasibility goes through the execution of the PSA.
PFA.
That's correct.
That means the filing of all that and all the paperwork associated is being billed to
To
that
feasibility.
account.
Correct.
And our fee is based on up to the time we execute the PSA.
Okay.
Yeah.
What Brad is up to is to the vote, and then Brad goes to DD to do his design.
Yeah, the architecture piece is in limbo right now, but I think
Right.
these two are,
Yeah, and
we're gonna
Other
build.
towns have done sort of bridge agreements.
Yeah.
I just don't know the format, and it's really up to your council.
I can look
figure
to
it
see
out.
if we've done it before, but I don't recall.
We
We've
have a
we've never been
sample.
backwards
And
like this, so.
The only other thing from a cash flow point of view is I'm not sure you'll be able to process the next couple months through ProPay.
Correct.
Correct.
Because it's not yet approved by MSBA.
Yeah,
Right,
that's the
till the
just
end.
kinda get
That's
it.
why it's like a
Doesn't
side,
July.
it's essentially a separate agreement, a
Yeah.
bridge agreement, until the MSBA and, you know, your paperwork catches up.
So it's between now and probably the first couple of
Yeah.
September.
Till September, yeah.
Probably.
Probably.
I would,
I mean, from a
just to be
planning purpose,
conservative, I
yeah.
would
Yep.
say the end of
And then they should let you
put it right
catch
in,
up,
catch up,
you know,
and
one
we submit it.
Right.
a
Okay.
big
They're
reimbursement
not gonna
request.
say,
Right.
No, that,
No.
They're not gonna make you space it out or.
Okay?
Yeah, if I have any more questions, I know where to find me.
Okay, I think that's it for our next steps in regards to timeline and where we stand on the project, and then what's left is confirming and setting our future meeting dates. I have May 25th, the 8th, and the 22nd, and that's continuing on the basis of every 2 weeks.
What about the sign minutes and sign approval?
We did that, didn't you?
There's-
Well, I'm gonna have Joe sign minutes after.
After, we approved the minutes in the beginning, so he just has to.
Anybody have a problem with those three dates, May 25th, June 8th,
I don't
June
think I'll be
22nd?
here.
I may not be available on the 22nd. I think we're taking the Girl Scouts to Maine.
I won't be here on the 25th.
Yeah.
But we can set the meetings and then.
When we
move forward, are there gonna be meetings throughout the summer?
Yes.
Thursdays are not a good night.
So, my question is, because it's summer, do the meetings have to be at 7 o'clock at night? Can they be during the day?
Works for me.
Will of the board.
I'm here anyway during the day.
Depends on what days.
Is the air conditioning on?
What day? What
Right.
Is there air
After
conditioning?
September of 2019, yes.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Right now, yeah. For me personally.
Anybody else have?
From our point of view, if it's Tuesday or Thursday.
Yeah, I'm still, I like this day.
They what?
You like Thursdays?
I do, but I can I can go to a Tuesday, that's fine too.
I mean, I can't be here during the day, but it's not to say that you shouldn't do it.
Or even a late after, like a 3 o'clock, evenings are tough. And some people travel, they're all kinds of
Mhm.
things in
Or,
the summer.
or even if
But
it
we're talking-
alternated, maybe did like some during the day and then had a later one so that, you know, we can
Are we just talking summertime or
once in a while.
July and August or?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it would be really difficult. Like, I can't continue to release Emma and Erica during the school day because they need to be
Right.
teaching, but
During the summer.
What's the last day of school?
21st of
We
June.
blocked out twice a month, just because there are a lot of things, like I said, in design development, we want to be clear about scope, whether it's finishes, equipment, or such. But we will move to once per month at some point, probably later in CDs. You'll need to be once per month anyways, just to approve invoices.
So we could keep we can stop at the 22nd and decide at the 22nd what we do on.
Okay,
that's
I
the-
just
'cause
wanted
the
to put it
ne-
out
'cause-
there.
Yeah.
'cause that next week, the 2 weeks after that is 4th of July week, and I would assume
Lot
that's
of
gonna be difficult
vacations.
for a lot of people. So we can look at July when we get closer to the end of June, and then establish what we wanna do. If that's okay.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so we'll set the other 3 in the calendar for now.
Okay.
So May 25, June 8, and 22. We're keeping
Correct.
those at 7 o'clock.
We'll do them at 7, and then we'll decide after that. We don't have MSBA paperwork on here. Do we have any paperwork to sign for the MSBA from the other? Okay.
Not till next time.
I have two, are we on to other?
Other, yes.
I have 2 others. One is that I'm sending a letter to the editor of the Daily News, thanking the Raleigh community for their support, similar to the one that went out to the parents yesterday, only at the advice of Brian. It was tweaked a little bit so that I don't get death letters from residents that voted against it.
Leave one, just take that out.
Yeah, so the one that went to the parents yesterday, the one that's going to the Daily News has been tweaked a little bit. And then I also received an email from a Pine Grove parent today. His name is Adam Harriet. He has 2 kids here and one at the high school. And he, congratulations on, the project passing and so forth. He said, I wanted to reach out to you to tell you that I'd be happy to volunteer with any technical consulting and decision-making. In the past, I've worked in 2 school systems where I taught computers and work in IT respectively. I've worked closely with computers and presentation for the past 20 years. I have a strong understanding of classroom topology and configuration, what works and what can be a challenge. You likely have things mapped out for technical assistance, but please don't hesitate to reach out and use me as a resource if you need a second opinion or advice. So I didn't know if parents start to email me and say, do you need me to help? Is that something that we consider, or do we, I told him I would bring it up tonight. He's a resource available if we had needed
Sure.
that.
I think we met twice with our technology
Yes.
consultant and the district IT as well as your staff. We'll need to have a couple more of those meetings anyways, like I say, in design development. So in that particular case, if you wanted him to attend, that would
Yeah,
be
I just
fine.
wanted to throw it out there.
And when we get to FF&E, is that coming up soon?
No.
No.
That's
It
Hey,
came up at one point. I'm just making sure that there's 2 spots on that.
Well, it won't be
So that's fine.
finalized for a long time.
Right. Oh, yeah, I'm not
But
saying
I think we
keep
may
my
have mentioned,
table.
we will have, when you've met Margaret, come and talk to you guys about that relatively soon, because although the actual final procurement of furniture in particular happens much later, what we find is two things. One, everyone understands the rooms a lot better when we show it with furniture in it. And two, if we show furniture in it sooner, then we get the plugs in the right place. If we choose the furniture later, the plugs may not be where we need them to. So we will do sort of some preliminary FF&E discussions where we may not have finalized specific makes and models.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll have general approaches, is it wiggly seating, is that hard seating, is this a square table or kidney-shaped table? And so we'd like to do that over the summer.
Okay.
So as they finish a phase of, like, the administrative buildings are being finished first, right, in phase 1, is that right?
North Wing, yeah.
So do they not furnish it with the furniture at that point, or is it not like complete?
No, I think we would, we'll talk about this more, but generally, we're gonna turn over each phase complete, including furniture and technology. That creates some challenges, especially with technology, where things change so quickly. That you may not have the same projector a year later, right? It might be model 123C instead of. So we'll work through that, but that would be the goal: is to turn over a fully furnished classroom.
Which
or
might
space.
expedite that overall schedule, because, we may want to be buying in one lot, but parsing it out, when, you deliver the first
Right.
phase here, deliver the second phase there. So, that might advance the, that kind of component of it, the FF&E and technology components a little bit earlier.
Well, and I think establishing a color palette for the entire building so it looks cohesive, even though it is being done in parts.
Absolutely.
So, and to avoid mauve, because.
Please, we were just talking about.
Do.
I just said that to her. Not individual choices and no
Not
mall.
mauve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Well, the
just-
teachers still have the
I said
ability
that.
to paint individual classrooms?
The project is gonna do the painting.
Okay,
So
okay.
colors.
But will they get to choose?
No.
They can-
No, okay, so it is coherent, okay.
It can be input.
Okay.
But, so colors, whether it's furniture or paint, any finishes, there are always lots of opinions. Often, even at the building committee level, there's a lot of opinions,
Mhm.
and ultimately you need to select something. So what we usually recommend is a lucky
choose.
few become the designated.
Michelle, Brian, and myself. That's what I was
Dark
told.
blue. Like navy blue. Like a
No
nice deep-
orange.
In Columbia
My
blue?
middle school was half orange.
Oh.
We're not doing orange, and that was not my selection, by the way.
Okay, I would like to, we've finished our agenda. I'd like to wrap it up. We can talk about colors later.
I make a motion.
Can I say one thing about the parents volunteering? I just want to be cautious, because I know we've had this discussion over the years, that obviously there's some public meetings, input, we're all volunteers around the table, but not having anyone assigned in any kind of professional capacity. Because at the end of the day, it's the designer and the developer and the construction manager that are signing off saying this building is done to the specs. So I just want to make sure that that's clear, that no one's saying, oh yeah, maybe we could have you do this service, versus
Right.
having
Yeah.
anyone with expertise come to the table, show up at public meetings, provide input, even in small groups, but that it's input like we have, that we're trusting the
And
professionals.
that's a good point. And, we do our best to manage lots of, different opinions and, from lots of different places. But at the end of the day, yeah, it is, kind of our stamp and our reputation that goes on the line here. And so, in certain instances, we try and be as accommodating as possible, right? But there are gonna be some things where we just say, no, that just, we can't do it that way, and here's why. With respect to, kind of, and I know Joe doesn't wanna talk about this, but the subcommittee level, we'll establish a subcommittee for, finishes and stuff like that, and we'll be providing some guidance there as well. It's your building, but, there's usually a discussion that takes place. And, haven't worked on one yet where, everybody's gone, taking their ball and gone home, so, it's a discussion.
Have a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Whew.